Welcome to Attention Talk Video, where we pay attention to attention. Now, here's your host, 𝐓𝐘𝐒.
Hi, I'm cognitive engineer and ADHD coach 𝐓𝐘𝐒, and I'm here today to talk to you about finding help online. I'd like to put a shout out and note Rick Green. Rick Green made a documentary called ADD and Loving It back in, I think it's 2008. I remember seeing it on global TV and thinking that this is a game changer. Up to that point in time, most information on ADHD was delivered in a very dry, boring, somewhat fashion. And with the backing of the Canadian government, he did a documentary on ADHD. It was about an hour long. And as a skit comedy writer and a comedian, he brought some humor to the delivery of really good information. And I thought this is spectacular because we can get information out there in a non-stigma type way and somewhat that would be entertaining to educate the public. And it really started like a change. And through the years, many of us, I was providing information on podcasts in the early days, and other things were kind of happening. And slowly, information's got a little bit more animated. I'd like to do a shout out to Jessica McCabe at How to ADD and Rick. For many years, I was the third most popular ADHD channel on the planet. And talking to Rick, he's like, basically Jessica and he are really good at getting people in the door. And my content was a lot of like, now that you're in the door, let's talk about what was real. So what I did was a little less entertaining, but it didn't have to be that entertaining. I had these two incredible people that got people to search for information. And then I was able to provide what I think is more hard-hitting facts. And where I am today is it was great because people were accessing information. However, and this is not, I'm not complaining here, but with the advent of AI, there's many self-proclaimed gurus, and with their background in the ease of making content, content on the internet has become much more entertaining. And I give Rick that because it was helpful to make the turn. However, more and more, I'm noticing content to be generated from AI and to be entertaining. Now, here's where I'm going with this. Number one, entertainment's good, don't get me wrong, but it's becoming more of an entertainment function than it is a content function. That's the first thing. Second thing is people are looking to provide information to what people want to hear. Now, let's think about this. Years ago, marketers, it was common, you can't sell people what they need. You have to sell people what they want. I mean, they're not really interested in what they need. And I was like, okay. And so the trick always was, how do you try to provide people what they want and actually give them what they need? Well, things have changed, in my opinion. Now people want you to give them what they want to work. Now, this is a big difference. What you want and what you want to work. Like, what I want is I want an ADHD solution that's easy. That's really, 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 really easy. Well, sometimes there's things that are easy, but if it was easy, that you would have already done it by now. And so what I'm finding more and more is the content is regressing to like the top three answers that you want to hear. And it's being delivered in a cavalier way that's kind of simplified. And I'm finding more and more people stuck. There's been a research study that was like 2 years ago, and it's gotten worse, that of the information on TikTok, like 62% of it was misinformation. I think it's like 20 or 22% were lived experience, and what was left was actually legitimate. And I've heard it's been more skewed now. And so what I'm really on here to sit there and say is that entertainment's good. And I know that you want information that you can pay attention to. But when you think of ADHD, it's a self-regulation issue. And part of you getting good information is the ability to sit and hear a context, to understand. I do a lot on my channel talking about how ADHD is an executive functioning impairment. It's a problem-solving impairment. Plans and strategies don't work when you run into problems. But you're conditioned into looking for tools and plans and strategies. And for me to explain to you why that doesn't work, for you to understand that you don't execute what you plan to do because of ambiguity, and you've got to solve for that problem. It takes a while for me to get your attention to change what you're paying attention to. And so my point in this stuff is more and more there should be a call for some self-awareness to recognize is that a lot of what you're doing is you're being entertained by people around ADHD. And while it's fun, you're learning a lot of useless information that's not necessarily practical. So what I hope that you're getting in this video is you pause and recognize as you're scrolling because it's fun and it's cool and it's validating, but it's really not helping you go forward. In fact, it's actually helping you stay more stuck than where you are. And I would encourage you to kind of have that self-awareness and kind of pause. And, sometimes you got to gut out or you've got to find other ways to consume content that is really more helpful than chasing stuff that's entertaining you that by definition is being fed to you because that's what you want to be entertained by. It's kind of a weird kind of catch-22, and there's really no getting around it than having the self-awareness and the realization. So I hope this gives you pause to think, even if one or two of you out there go, oh my God, that's me, and you make an adjustment, this video would have been worth its while. Please support our channel. If you're new, hit the subscribe button, hit a like, make a comment, do whatever. For my regular viewers, know I love what you guys state. I also don't problem with if you disagree with me, as long as it's respectful. I mean, I'm not an expert on anything, and we all have different opinions. So anyway, I hope this is giving you pause to think, and hope you've enjoyed this edition of Attention Talk Video. Take care.